Good Monday evening, Chicago, and welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Thank you again so much for taking time out of your Monday to listen to me talk about sports, and we have got a ton of stuff to go over today. The Bears keeping things alive with the playoff hopes, and they are now in control of their own playoff destiny. How awesome is that for the Bears? Thanks to the Cardinals losing on Saturday, shocker, the Bears get to take over control of their own playoff destiny, which is just so amazing and so cool, and just I love it so dang much. But now, what do you do from there if you're the Bears? Well, we're going to talk about that. Then some other news coming out today. A lot of news has been breaking here in the last, half hour or so with Chicago sports. You've had some news with the Cubs regarding Yu Darvish. Looks like he might be on the move. He might be on the trading block. And then also we've had some news with the Blackhawks regarding their young prospect and young centerman Kirby Dach. So we're going to talk about that and get into those a little bit as well. I hope you guys all had a great Christmas. Strap in. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Here we go. All right, and welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Thank you again so much for taking time out of your Monday to talk some sports with me. Thanks to, we had a show before us tonight, the Kansas City Shuffle. Thanks to Dave Friedman and Ryan P. Davies. They did an awesome job, as they always do. Normally they're on Tuesdays, but they moved to Monday and had some fun talking about the Chiefs and other football-related things with them. And nice job, Dave and Ryan. You guys always do a good job. And we talked about Trubisky a little bit with them, too. I'm not necessarily a Trubisky not liker. I do like Trubisky. I wish that he wouldn't do things like he did yesterday, throwing a desperation Hail Mary interception into the end zone the way he did. But fortunately, the game against the Jaguars, it went like you would expect it to. A little bit of a rough start, but they eventually pulled it off. They got it taken care of. They got their business done. So now what? Now they are in complete control of their own destiny. But before I get too much further, we do have some homework to take care of. Ways you can interact with the show, of course, on Twitter. You can go at IE Sports Radio at Twitter. You can follow along with the entire station there. The show's Twitter feed is temporarily down, but you can still follow along on my personal feed at Adam_Karnick. You can follow along there. Also, the station, IE Sports Radio, is also on Instagram. You can find them there, and also on Facebook. You can follow along with them there. Find them there. And also, if you're a fan of the station on Facebook, you should also join the Hidden Gems Sports Show group to follow along with that and and follow up with things on the station and just interact with different sports fans there. And if you are listening live here on the Spreaker app, take a minute and jump on into the chat. Hello, Taryn. Hello, Mike. Good to see you guys there. And yes, Mike, it is great to see the Bears proving you wrong. If I recall, Mike Pat is in the chat. Mike is the regular host of our Let's Whine About Sports show, which normally he's on immediately after me on Mondays, but he's deciding to take a Monday off. I don't know if he wasn't able to get his hands on a good wine for this week or not, but have a Monday off. It's the holidays. Take some time off. Nothing wrong there. Mike, back at the beginning of the season, had predicted that the Bears would finish fourth in the NFC North. And so, yes, they are proving him wrong there. And if I remember right, Mike, I think you also had the Lions winning the division. Yuck. Don't ever, pro tip, don't ever pick the Lions to do well. That it will not pan out for you. So just a quick pro tip there. Some other homework for the show tonight. We actually do have some sponsors, and you'll hear a little bit more about them a little bit later. But a huge shout out to the Raider Rambler. They are a Vegas Raiders outlet. You can hear some different things from them, some videos and articles that they write and things like that. You will hear some more about them later. Also, thank you to Legacy Financial. They are a sponsor for us this week. You will hear a little bit more about them. They are a family-owned financial aid type company where they give you some tips on money and bookkeeping and things like that. And then also to 26 Sports. They do, again, media interactions. Michael Rudea runs them. They do some social media type interviews and videos and things like that with different sports. So thank you to our sponsors. You will hear more about them all throughout the show. All right. So, what's up with the Bears? Yeah, and I see Mike. Yeah, low blow, man, low blow. Hey. You picked the Lions to win the division, not me. If I remember the show well enough, too, I tried to warn you during the show not to do that. But, hey, it was your prediction. You stuck with it. Yeah. Oh, he does point out, yeah, we may have a worst to first scenario going on over in the NFC East. Yeah, but that's all four really, really bad teams. I don't know that we want to talk too much about them if we can at all avoid it. But actually, I am going to get into them a little bit later on. But yes, that would qualify as a worst to first scenario out there in the East. So with the Bears yesterday, the Jaguars game. I mean, it's the Jaguars. There was a lot of exciting things to happen with that game yesterday. 41 points, and all from the offense. You didn't have a kickoff return for a touchdown. You didn't have a fumble recovery for a touchdown. You didn't have an interception return to the house in there. It was all the offense. There were a couple drives set up by the defense, but for the offense itself to put up 41 points was impressive. And I saw this stat earlier, both yesterday and then confirmed today, with the Bears putting up 41 points yesterday. This is the first time since 1965 that the Bears have put up at least 30 points in 4 straight games. 1965. That was, let's do the math here real quick. That was 55 years ago. We're only about to play Super Bowl 55 this coming February, meaning that this statistic predates the Super Bowl. This is the first time in the Super Bowl era that the Bears have scored 30 points in 4 straight games. The Bears just don't believe in offense and never have. That's what that means, really. But congratulations to the offense. Congratulations to the Bears. You beat a really bad Jacksonville team. They took care of business. That game's over and done with. Now you got to look ahead. There are all kinds of crazy playoff scenarios going on right now in the NFL that I want to. This is going to be one of the craziest Week 17s that we have ever seen in the NFL. And I want to go through both conferences tonight because they're just so bizarre and so crazy. So I'm actually going to start over in the AFC. We've got over in the AFC headed into Week 17. You have got 5 teams vying for 4 spots. Perfect musical chairs set up. You have got and apparently an ad decided to play on my computer here, so give me just a second while I tell it to stop. Sorry about that. So what we've got going on right now, you have got in the AFC South is still up for grabs between the Titans and the Colts. Either one of those teams could still win that division. Then you've got all 3 wild card spots are up for grabs as well. As it sits right now, I'm pulling everything up to make sure that I don't get this wrong. And guys in the chat, feel free to correct me if I do slip up and get the wrong team mentioned here. But you have got the Miami Dolphins and the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns are all sitting there 5 through 7, and the Colts are the 8th spot. They're the first team out. So we'll start with the Ravens. The Ravens clinch simply by winning a game or having Cleveland lose or having Indy lose. Then you get into all kinds of, well, if this game ends in a tie or that game ends in a tie, heaven help us, we're not going to have any ties. No ties. Just no ties this week. It's illegal. It's forbidden. So Baltimore is in with a win or a Cleveland loss or an Indy loss. Miami is in with a win or a Baltimore loss or a Cleveland loss or an Indy loss. The Titans, they clinch the division with a win or an Indy loss. They clinch just simply a playoff berth with Baltimore or Miami losing. Those are the easy ones. Then the Colts, they need a win plus help. They need a win plus a Baltimore loss or a Cleveland loss or a Miami loss to get into the playoffs. They can win the division with a win plus a Tennessee loss. And then Cleveland, oh, poor Cleveland, because I remember, Andrew, we talked about this last week with the Browns. The Browns could still miss the playoffs. They're in with a win or with an Indy loss. All right? So, and Taryn points out that, yeah, there's a 1-10-win team is going to miss the playoffs. Yeah, none of those teams are playing each other, so they could all win. We could have an 11-win team in an expanded AFC playoff field miss the playoffs. An 11-win team. That's just absurd. That boggles my mind. 11 wins, even in the old format where just 6 teams got in, you thought, oh, 11 wins, you are in the playoffs, no doubt about it. You can pencil yourself in. We might have an 11-team win miss the playoffs if they all win out. The AFC is nuts. The NFC is a little bit more cut and dry. We're going to start with the NFC East because that's the one division that is undecided in the NFC, and they're all bad. We're guaranteed to have a team with a losing record once again win a division and make the playoffs and host a playoff game. This will be the 3rd time in the last 11 seasons. I wrote a column, I wrote a blog post for IE Sports, which if you didn't know, there is a blog for IE Sports. You go to our website and you can read some different blog postings there. Taryn wrote one recently about volleyball. Mike has written several about different various sports, a lot of football in there. I wrote a blog post a few weeks back about the NFC East and what the NFL needs to do about this situation of teams with losing records winning the division. Something needs to be done, but I digress. It's going to happen again this year. Over in the NFC East, if Washington wins the NFC East. There you go. It's cut and dry. If Washington loses, then the winner of the Dallas-New York game wins the NFC East and gets to host Tampa Bay in the 4-5 game. Then the 2 wild card spots. You've got the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Bears all fighting over 2 wild card seats. The Buccaneers have already clinched the other one. What's really wild and crazy is just like over in the AFC, all 3 teams, it's win and you're in because the Rams and Cardinals are playing each other. So Bears, win and you're in. You're in the playoffs. Cardinals, win and you're in. Rams, win and you're in. 2 of them are going to get in. So meaning that potentially the Cardinals-Rams game could see both teams get in. Even the team that loses could get in. So let's go over the scenarios real quick. The Rams get into the playoffs with a win or a Bears loss. Either one of those scenarios gets them. The Bears get in with a win or an Arizona loss. Arizona gets in with a win. If Arizona loses, Arizona's not getting in. The Bears could jump up as high as the 6th seed in the NFC. What it would take for that is they'd need to win and the Cardinals would need to beat the Rams. If you're thinking, wait a minute, why wouldn't the Rams get a tiebreaker over the Bears? The Rams beat the Bears earlier in the season. Ding, ding, ding. Bonus points for you. Good job for remembering and looking that up. The reason the Bears kind of own the tiebreaker over the Rams is because there'd be 3 teams involved in that scenario. If the Rams and the Cardinals and the Bears all go 9-7, the Rams would officially finish 3rd in the NFC West. The Bears, being the 2nd place team in the NFC North, would be given precedence over them. And the Bears would own a tiebreaker over the Cardinals, so the Bears would get the 6th seed, the Cardinals would get the 7, and then the Rams would miss out on the playoffs. So, watching this week, obviously we're rooting for the Bears to beat the Packers. The Packers have a lot to play for. They haven't clinched home field. They're obviously going to be in the playoffs, but they still could clinch that first round bye, because the only one team gets the bye this year, remember, because of the new playoff scenario. Only the 1 seed gets the bye. So the Packers are definitely going to be motivated to play all their starters and treat this like a straight-up regular game. I'm not confident about the Bears' ability to beat the Packers. Now, there's a world of difference between, hey, we need this game just so that we can be a better seed, versus, hey, we need to win this game, otherwise we don't get to play next week. So there will be extra motivation for the Bears to win this division, no doubt about it. To win this game. But it's Aaron Rodgers. It's the end of the regular season. We've seen this play out. I have my fears. So then you need to pay attention to the Rams-Cardinals game, which will be going on at the same time. They moved the Bears game to be at 3:25 on Sunday, same time as the Rams-Cardinals game, so that you can keep track of everything all at once. In that game, we might see 2 backup quarterbacks start in that game. Kyler Murray, it was announced today that Kyler Murray might miss the game with a lower leg injury. That's what his coach, Cliff Kingsbury, is referring to it as a lower leg injury. And then Jared Goff Actually, I'm just reading it right now that Jared Goff actually had surgery today on a broken thumb on his throwing hand. He is very unlikely to play. So we might see backup quarterbacks for both Arizona and Los Angeles in this winner-take-all game. I would say then that there's no guarantee that Los Angeles beats Arizona. It's going to be a wild, wild, wild Sunday next week. It's going to be crazy to keep up with and follow along with. Bears, just make it easy on yourself. Beat the Packers and let the chips fall where they may. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then there was all kinds of breaking news happening today in the Chicago sports world that I want to get to and I want to digest a little bit, both about the Cubs and about the Blackhawks. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Back in a bit.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, we know that you're football fans. You're listening to this show. Of course you love football. You want to have a perspective on the entire league, don't you? Well, then you should check out the Raider Ramble, a Las Vegas Raiders outlet delivering the latest in Raiders football with tons of articles daily written by a staff of talented sports writers. Follow along with the Raider Ramble on all kinds of social media platforms. Follow them on Twitter at The Raider Ramble, Instagram at The Raider Ramble, and on Facebook, The Raider Rambler. Check out the Raider Ramble and follow along with IE Sports Radio to see all their latest postings.
Hey, what's up, BS3 sports fans? If you love listening to the BS3 Sports Show, check out the weekend wrap-up every Monday at 12:15 Central Time, 1:15 Eastern, recapping the weekend in sports like you never heard it before. Comedy, interactive chat room, it's a must-listen. Weekend wrap-up on Spreaker.com. Part of the X Squad. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Let's face it, 2020 has been a tough year. However, staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. At Legacy Financial, if you're in a financial struggle at the moment and need some help, call Legacy Financial at 951-732-0130 or at 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Andrew and Ao are just two people on a mission to help families build a legacy. Follow them on social media at Twitter at legacy_uncut or on Instagram at Sims_uncut.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
Are you looking for interviews with champions, contenders, prospects, and people inside of combat sports? Then look no further than 26 Sports with Michael Ruda. He also has recap shows all throughout the month. You can follow Michael on Twitter at Wolf2988 and also at YouTube at search 26 Sports. That's 26 Sports.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS? Well then look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, my name is Adam Karnick. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk some sports with me. So, today was a very, very newsy day. I kind of had the show mapped out in my head earlier in the day, kind of what I wanted to do, and then there was just stuff flying left, right, and center. So I kind of had to call a little bit of an audible, and we need to get into this and talk about this a little bit. So first, let's talk with the Cubs. We all know ever since, even before Theo Epstein stepped down as president of baseball operations and the Cubs promoted Jed Hoyer into that role, that this was going to be a year where the Cubs were going to be looking to sell off some pieces and try to make some moves. They haven't been able to reach long-term extensions with their big-time core pieces: Chris Bryant, Javier Baez, Kyle Schwarber, Anthony Rizzo. We saw that they decided to outright just not offer Schwarber a tender, which was surprising. And everybody knows that Chris Bryant has been in the trade rumor mill for, what feels like at least 3 years now. And what I've been hearing recently is that the Cubs have not been happy with what they've been hearing back from other teams as in return for Chris Bryant, that they feel like they would be trading off Chris Bryant at far less than what he's really worth. And they keep trying to play this game of chicken, and the longer they wait, the less and less and less Bryant is going to be worth. And it's gotten to the point where now they've actually seriously engaged talks with trading Cy Young finalist starting pitcher Yu Darvish. And what came down today was that it sounds like it's almost a done deal that Darvish is going to go to San Diego and be a Padre. The Padres just made a move yesterday to get starting pitcher Blake Snell from the Tampa Bay Rays, another Cy Young finalist. He may have won. I'd have to double check. But apparently that wasn't enough for the Padres. They still felt they had enough money to spend, A, and assets to trade, B, to make a deal for Yu Darvish. And the Cubs are serious about it. And this deal is going down in part because they feel like they can't get what they want for Chris Bryant. So it's all right, we'll trade off Chris Bryant and get what we can, and now we'll trade off Yu Darvish and get what we really want. It's sounding like what's going to happen is they're going to send Darvish and Victor Caratini, who has acted and served as Darvish's personal catcher in his time with the Cubs. Both of those guys will be going to San Diego in return for as many as 4 players. I haven't seen any names yet of what San Diego would be sending to Chicago, but I'm hearing that the Cubs would like to get a mix of major league ready players, either players that have already started MLB service time, have already come up and started playing games for the Padres, and prospects who, for one reason or another, are ready to play in the bigs, but just haven't come up to San Diego. Either they've been blocked at their position or San Diego's trying to control their service time, one or the other. Zach Davies is a name that has popped up. I had a friend of mine who he might be listening to the show. He might just be having this exact conversation in one of our group chats. He just mentioned to me that Zach Davies is a name that he has heard. I'd heard that name as well. Zach Davies is a middle of the rotation pitcher for the Cubs at this point. It's okay. That's fine. That's a guy. There are some nice prospects in the Padres organization. One is a starting pitcher, Mackenzie Gore, who is a lefty. That could be somebody that the Cubs might be interested in, but it's sounding like they're going to be sending 4 players to the Cubs in exchange for Darvish and Victor Caratini. I'm not thrilled. I'm not excited by this. This, to me, does really feel like the Cubs are trying to rebuild far more than they're worried about trying to rebuild on the fly. I know Hoyer said that, no, we want to remain competitive. I don't know how trading Yu Darvish allows you to stay competitive and compete in 2020. Yes, getting some prospects will help you down the road, but what Hoyer had indicated the Cubs would like to do is, you want to retool and be able to still be competitive down the road, but you want to remain competitive now. And I feel like trading Yu Darvish prevents you from being able to do that. I'm not a big fan of this move. It sounds like it's fait accompli at this point, that it is happening. They're just ironing out the kinks. Taryn Rodriguez jumps into the chat and mentions Blake Hunt, that he's a Southern California product. He could be somebody coming to the Cubs in this deal. If there was a flaw in the Epstein-Hoyer way of doing things, it was that with all the sabermetrics and all the talent evaluation, they weren't able to draft pitching. They weren't able to isolate and identify and target and keep great pitching. They did manage to get a great pitcher. Dylan Cease was a fantastic pitcher coming up through the Cubs system, but they traded him to get Jose Quintana. What's done is done. At the time, that seemed like a great move, and then Quintana has not done nearly as well in the National League as he did in the American League. It is what it is now. So the Cubs, though, this really does feel like it's far more of a signal of a start of a rebuild than it is trying to stay competitive. Now, who knows? The NL Central is a rough division. They might very well stay competitive even without Yu Darvish. The rest of the division just is not good. So they might be able to stay competitive and make the playoffs even while selling off some pieces. But, now you're talking Schwarber's gone, Almora's gone. Now it sounds like Darvish and Caratini are going to be gone as well. It just doesn't bode well for a 2021 Cubs season. I wish I could bounce off of that into some more cheery news. Alas, the Blackhawks had no good news to give. Late last week, young 19-year-old second-year centerman Kirby Dach, last year's first overall pick that they got, third overall as part of the lottery system, he was playing in the World Cup Juniors for Team Canada. The Blackhawks had given him permission to do it, and he hurt his wrist. And if you've seen the play, I tweeted it out both, I believe, on the old show account, which if you missed in the first segment, the Shitetown Weekly Twitter account is temporarily dead. We're working on bringing it back to life. I'll let you know, hopefully by next week, what's going on there. I know I tweeted it out through the show account, though, that there was video of the play where Doc he went to make a hit, he went to check somebody, and then immediately stopped what he was doing, pulled off his glove, and skated to the sideline. The Blackhawks didn't immediately know whether or not he would need surgery. They announced today that he needed surgery. Doc underwent surgery on his right wrist. They have said it was a success. However, he is going to be out 4 to 5 months, meaning that he's going to miss most, if not all, of the 2021 NHL season. This stinks. He was coming on so strong and playing so well towards the end of last year and into the playoff bubble. He was starting to come into his own. He was starting to feel a little bit more comfortable out on the ice. He was adjusting to the pro game. They were going to be asking a lot of him this season, and now it looks like he's pretty much lost the season. This also comes on the heels of another young Hawks player, Alexander Nylander, needing surgery and missing the entire season as well. So the NHL only announced last week, because I talked about it on the show, they only announced just last week when the season is even happening. Since then, the Blackhawks have lost 2 of their second-year players for what is almost certainly going to be the entire regular season. To help make up for the loss of Kirby Dach, the Blackhawks did sign veteran centerman, I've got the last name here, but I'm getting his first name up real quick, Carl Soderberg, to a 1-year deal for $1 million. See what they can get out of him and get that going. But it is a rough way to start the winter for the Blackhawks. They weren't necessarily expecting a whole lot out of this season. They were also going to be doing some more heavy rebuilding this offseason, but to lose 2 of their top young players before the season has even started is a rough blow. Speaking of rough blows, we're going to take a quick break, but then we've got some other rough blows to talk about. The Chicago Bulls, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Suffice to say, I don't think that's the start the Bulls and Billy Donovan were hoping for. We'll dive into that a little bit later. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Lopan, they didn't even want you. Heck, they didn't even want me. But you know what? Right about now, they have no choice. Looking for the real sports talk? Talk that's for us, the people? Look no further. The Wait a Minute Show, a prime time sports comedy cocktail that tucks you in at night. Join me and Lopan Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 2livestewsradio.com and Saturday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Wait a Minute Show.com. Sounds like a plan to me. Ain't that right, Lopan?
Indeed.
Hello, IE Sports Radio family. This is Adam Kernick, host of Chi-Town Weekly. Are you looking for interviews with champions, contenders, prospects, and people inside of combat sports? Well, then you need to look no further than 26 Sports with Michael Rueda. Michael also does recaps all throughout the month, so if you missed anything, you can always find it at his social media accounts. What are his accounts? Well, you can follow him on Twitter at Wolf2988, or you can also find him on YouTube by searching 26 Sports. That's 26 Sports with Michael Rueda, and of course, you can find more information about them by following IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Damn! Green team! Green team! Set! Hey!
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
Chi-Town Weekly fans, this is your host, Adam Kernick again. You heard me mention it in the last commercial break that if you want to be a good football fan, you need to be well-rounded. It's good to know all the other teams in the league, not just the Bears, not just the NFC North. Well, here to help you learn a little bit more about the Las Vegas Raiders, here is the Raider Rambler, a Las Vegas Raiders outlet that delivers the latest in Raiders football with tons of articles written daily by a staff of talented sports writers. You can find them all over social media, Twitter at The Raider Ramble, Instagram at The Raider Ramble, and on Facebook at, what else? You guessed it, The Raider Ramble. Check them out. That's, once again, The Raider Ramble.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson,
It's your boy Notorious Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
"2020 has been a tough year. You know it. I know it. We've all experienced it. We've all had something go on. This is host of Chi-Town Weekly, Adam Karnick. However, staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, call Legacy Financial at 951-732-0130 or 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Andrew and Io are just two people on a mission to help families build a legacy. You can follow Legacy Financial on Twitter at legacy_uncut and on Instagram at Sims_uncut. That's Legacy Financial.
Hello and welcome to the Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world, from the English Premier League to the World Cup to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. One last segment here on tonight's show. We talked about the Bears and NFL playoff scenarios for Week 17. We talked then last segment about the disappointing news that's come out today with the Cubs and with the Blackhawks. I wish then that I could be a little bit more upbeat, but alas, I have to talk about the Chicago Bulls. We talked last week. You may have heard the ad for Fast Break during that commercial break there. Fast Break is the awesome basketball show that you can find right here on IE Sports Radio on every Sunday night, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern, or adjust to whatever time zone you are in. The guys do an absolutely fantastic show. Davidson Crooks and Dentarius Locke do an awesome job hosting that. And Davidson came on and we talked about the Bulls. And he agreed with me. There's reasons to be optimistic about the Bulls heading into this season. And then they started playing. They've played 3 games since last week, and oh boy, have they been doozies. We'll start with the season opener against the Atlanta Hawks. They got down, and they just looked like they wanted no part of playing basketball in that game. They got down by as many as 40 points in the first half. They gave up 89 points in the first half against the Hawks, and then just never showed any life after that. They managed to make it halfway respectable final score, 124 to 104. But man, they just no energy. They fell behind and just looked like they had nothing to give. And you heard them after the game even say things like, "Well, yeah, we got to bring the energy. We got to bring the passion. We've got to stay involved in the game. We can't lose focus." Man, how do you lose focus in the season opener? That's a rough indictment. But all right, you play a few days later and you got the Indiana Pacers. That should be a little bit easier of a game, right? Wrong. They came out and laid a dud against the Pacers on Saturday and just continued to just play lifeless basketball. Finally losing 125 to 106 and just not really being that competitive in the game yet again. They shot not even 40% from the field in that game. 20 turnovers in that game against the Pacers. Just not smart basketball, not good basketball. Just continuing to look like they did last year. So we talked about how, it was all a new front office and a new coaching staff, but the players were the same. Billy Donovan's a good coach, but it seems like he doesn't have a whole heck of a lot to work with. And then the game last night, the Golden State Warriors came to town, and it was back and forth. Well, the Warriors aren't all that great of a team, so yeah, this should be a bit of a back and forth game. This should be kind of close and kind of fun. Let's see how this goes. The Bulls were leading late. It looks like they were going to win, and then Damian Lee just broke their hearts. A three-pointer with less than 2 seconds to go lifted the Warriors to a 129-128 win over the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls fall to 0-3 and just continue to look like they're going to be in the bottom of the NBA yet again. You're seeing spotty performances of good things happen. Do they keep him at point guard, or do they say, you know what, this isn't working, let's get you over to shooting guard where you kind of belong, and let's see if there's anybody else on this roster that can step up and play the point a little bit better. Ryan Arcidiacono, Arcidiacono, there we go, reset and retry it, can play some point, but you're certainly not going to have Zach LaVine play point. As soon as he gets the ball, he wants to just chuck it up from wherever he is. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. Taryn jumps into the chat. Yeah, at least the Bulls didn't lose by 50. Yeah, that's as the Clippers pulled a doozy and lost by 51 the other night. And then he asks, is Michael Jordan going to have to come out of retirement again? Everything that I've heard, it's funny about Michael Jordan. Everything I've heard about him is that obviously he doesn't have the stamina to play a game anymore, but in spurts, he'll still just beat the heck out of you in a basketball game. He'll go out there and whip you into shape real fast. He can't do it for long stretches, but he can do it for a little bit at a time. But still, just a very, very, very disappointing start for the Bulls as a team. Not shooting the ball very well, not scoring a ton of points, giving up just a ton of points. I'm getting the stats back up here. They're allowing 126 points a game. That's 27th in the NBA. Obviously, it's very early, but still not what you want to be at. Not where you thought you'd be at, too, with new head coach Billy Donovan taking over and just making things a little bit better for the team. But obviously, it's going to take time. They do have their next game is tomorrow night. They have their first road game. They go to play the Wizards. We'll see what that turns into. The Wizards are also yet to win a game this season. They are also 0-3. We'll see what comes of that. ESPN is predicting that 75% chance that Washington takes that game, but we'll see. Maybe the Bulls can get their first win. Somebody's going to have to get their first win in that game. All right, well, that is our show for tonight. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for hopping into the chat. Thank you, Taryn, for hopping into the chat. Mike hopping into the chat. Thank you, Larry, for all the hard work you do here at IQ Sports Radio, keeping things running, keeping things moving in the right direction. And then thank you also to our sponsors for keeping the doors open and the lights on. I didn't mention during the last commercial break, but if you, as a listener, are so inclined, you can go check us out at Ko-Fi and sponsor us, ko-fi.com/IQ Sports Radio, and you too can help out and support the station there. Thank you again to our sponsors, to Raider Ramble, and to Legacy Financial, and to 26 Sports. And hopefully you guys can come back and interact with us some more on that. Coming up later tonight, Mike, as I mentioned, has the night off for Let's Whine About Sports, but coming up after him will be the Unfiltered Truth. Phil Jones and Phil Robinson will do some Raiders talk, breaking down the Raiders' disappointing loss on Saturday to the Dolphins and their season being eliminated. I'm sure they'll have some choice words there, especially for Coach John Gruden and some of the decisions he made. I want to make a quick shout out while I've got some time. A shout out to my very good friend Amy. Amy is a school teacher in the Detroit area, and she found out on Christmas Day, despite all of she and her husband's best efforts, that she did contract COVID-19. She's doing well, she is recovering, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Amy. I know she does listen to the show. Amy, thinking about you, praying for you, hope you feel better. Everybody else, I hope you had a fantastic Christmas and holiday season. Happy New Year. Let's talk in the new year, and hopefully we got some Bears football to talk about. See you next week.